Hello, I'm Sue and I'm going to take you on my keto journey while I cook a very simple keto lunch today. I'm going to make just an omelette with some bacon and a little bit of cheese, and this will break my intermittent fasting, which I'll talk to you about in a little bit while I'm cooking. So I've got some eggs, I've got some sort of Parmesan type cheese, some hard cheese, and I've got some unsmoked, dry cured streaky baked rashers. I got the cheese and the bacon from Lidl's, and I do like this dry cured streaky bacon because it doesn't produce so much water and it goes a nice crispy add flavour when it's cooked in the pan. And I've already grated my cheese into it's about a tablespoon. It's up to you, it's preference of how much cheese you want, and I just wanted it for a bit of flavour rather than the cheese content, which is why I use the dry cheese. So I'm going to now then cut it all up and prepare it ready to put in the pan. So I'll start by cracking the eggs. I think I only want 2. It's not my main meal, so I don't need a lot of eggs. So we'll just crack 2 and give them a little whisk. I'm not going to add any salt because I think the salt might be enough salt in the bacon, so I'd rather add salt when the whole omelette is cooked if I need it. And again, I'm not going to whip this up too much, just enough to mix the 2 eggs together. So while I'm cutting up the streaky bacon, I'll just tell you a little bit about my keto story. I found I was very overweight and getting rather unhealthy last year with a number of reasons, and I just 1 pound off weighing 15 stone and realised I had to do something about it. So at the end of March, having done a little bit of research and watched some videos on YouTube, I decided to try the keto diet. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a few rations. I think I've got about 3 rashers here, and I'm going to just cut them up into small pieces, about 1 inch, or shall we say as square as they are wide, and these will then float nicely in my omelette. So I started not knowing much about the keto diet, only that you seem to eat an awful lot of cauliflower, and just basically because it was easy. I had for lunch I had salads and maybe some blueberries, and I found that blueberries and raspberries were acceptable, and for something sweet, but soon got bored of the sort of food that you could just cook very quickly and wanted to make things that were more like the sort of things that I used to have before. So some sweet baking products, cakes I'd missed, anything that might have been sort of pastry based. So that's when I started experimenting and trying different recipes. And there's my bacon cooked up. So I'm just going to turn the little stove on and wait for that to warm up, and then we can start cooking. So I did some research and found out that what it was important to do on the keto diet was to make sure that you started to use more ketones and produce more ketones to digest fat that you were eating and the fat that's in your body. And to do this, you needed to reduce the insulin, which works on the starches and the sugars. So by not eating any starch, that's no potatoes, no rice, nothing with flour, such as cakes and breads and things like this, by reducing the insulin, then because your body needs energy, it gets energy by converting the fat that you either eat or the fat that's in your cells, and producing energy from that. So that's the journey that I was on, making sure that my body stayed in a state of what they call ketosis, and it just seemed to work. But having done a little bit more research, I then found out that it is best to do what they call intermittent fasting, which means having a long period of time of the day when you don't eat anything except liquids. This gives your body time to, because it needs the energy, and it's already used up the fat that you've eaten and used that and converted it into energy, it needs to try and take the fat from the cells, those fat cells that I've been putting on, and it making my weight increase over the past few years. So I stopped having breakfast. That meant that my last meal would be about 6 o'clock, and then hopefully if I wasn't tempted, I can go right through until at least 12:30, 1 o'clock before I have my first meal. And through doing that, I was able to lose nearly 3.5 stone since last March. I'm just on a bit of a plateau now, partly because I think I've been eating more food since Christmas. So I will get back on my sort of strict keto regime and hopefully lose another 1/2 stone or perhaps a stone by March, which was my target. So I'm going to start by frying the bacon, and you can hear it sizzling nicely. So I'm setting 4. So 3 rashers of bacon cut into small sort of 1-inch square pieces and spread out so that they'll fry individually. So I'll just keep an eye on that, and just tell you. So my intermittent fasting has worked, although sometimes I have just felt the need for something later on, usually around about 8 o'clock, and I'll sometimes just have a milky, well, it's not real milk, I don't drink milk now. Milk is quite high in carbs, but I'll have a drink. I'll make a sort of chocolate drink out of almond milk and cocoa powder and stevia sugar, but maybe I should be stopping that soon. So I found that what I really enjoyed was trying out new recipes, and it is a little bit of trial and error. So I've got a little book that I write all my new recipes in, and also say how they've come, and I've got some favourites now that I know work really well. One of those is a lemon cake, followed by coconut cake. You have to like coconut, but I luckily do. I haven't had much success with ice cream, but I'm still working on that. You make ice cream from pure double cream and say mashed up strawberries, then that's fine, that's absolutely delicious. But starting adding other ingredients, and it gets a little bit complicated and not so tasty. So I'll be working on those recipes, and but I'll be also started off by making the bread substitute. My first sort of little breads were made with almond flour, because almond flour is the main substitute for using ordinary flour, but it does make things much more heavy, but you know, I do use it. But recently I started to add other ingredients, and lupin flour for one, and when I've got that one sorted out, I've been following a few people's recipes, I'll possibly show you how I make my bread substitute. So the bacon seems nicely cooked now. I think it's time to add the beaten eggs. So I'll just do another little quick beat. I think I shall add just a bit of pepper. Not too much, but just enough to give a bit more flavour. And just going to pour that in so that it covers the bacon. That's not scrambled egg because it's going to be an omelette. I should just leave that to cook. And I'm going to also sprinkle over the top my hard cheese to just give an added flavour. Sometimes I add vegetables, but I always fry them, so I might just fry up some a mushroom and a sliver of peppers if I want something a little bit different. So there was a lot to find out what I could and couldn't eat, or because I'm trying to keep my carbs down between 20 carbs, which is the point when I know I will lose weight, and 30 I probably won't lose weight. So you have to know the carb count, carbohydrates that are in everything that you eat. But after a while you sort of get used to knowing that this thing that I've made will have about 5 carbs in it. So I'm not very strict on the counting, and what I'm eating here for my lunch will have very few carbs because there's hardly any carbs in bacon, and eggs as well, perhaps only one, and the cheese. So there's probably at the maximum only about 3 carbs in the whole of this meal. If I wanted to pad it out with something, I could have a slice of my homemade keto bread. But just at the moment I'm just going to have this omelette when it's nicely cooked. So it's coming up nicely. I'm not going to touch it until the surface over the top has dried and is not liquid. So at the moment it's still quite liquid. So it's like catching it to cook it, but without burning the underneath too much. That is what I'm aiming for. I think this is just about ready to flip over. Let's hope I can do it all in one. You can see that all the liquid's gone on the top, so it will flip over nicely. Did you notice I didn't add any oil in the pan before I started? I didn't need it because of the bacon, so there was enough fat coming out of the bacon. If I hadn't got a bacon omelette, then I would have added some other oil or butter or olive oil. So I just need to leave this now to get a nice sort of toasting on the underside, and then it will be ready to eat. So I think it's ready now, so I'm going to put it on my plate. I'll actually just fold it up, fold it over so it fits properly. I'll just take the pan off, put it onto the cooler side, turn the temperature down so I don't forget. And there I've got a lovely bacon omelette, with maybe 2 eggs, 3 slices of bacon and a little bit of cheese. It's going to be quite hot, but I'll just taste it and tell you what I think. Let it cool a bit. That is nice. The last time that I ate was 6 o'clock last night. So I've managed to have a fast for 18 hours, which I'm quite happy with, and I can settle to that. Don't feel that I need to increase it. I haven't tried any longer fasts. This seems to work for me. So I think it's quite personal. You have to work out your own method of going on a keto diet and being able to stick on it. So I'm going to enjoy this while it's still hot now. Next time I will find some other recipe that I've enjoyed on my keto journey and share it with you. Oh, that looks so good. Bye for now.